Farmers plan more soybeans and less corn, but grain stocks data could steal the show on March 31st. Hi, I'm Bryce Knorr from Farm Futures. I'll have results of our latest survey of planting intentions along with other key estimates for end of March reports on this edition of The Buzz for Monday, March 24th, 2014. First off, thanks to the more than 1,750 producers who helped out with our latest survey. Sharing your plans helped us provide the best forecast possible. Headed into the March 31st reports, we found more of the same trends from our two previous surveys. Farmers want to plant soybeans a lot more and less corn. Here are the numbers. For corn, we estimate 2014 intentions at 92.06 million acres, down 3.5% from last year's total, which was, of course, cut by ground farmers were prevented from planting. While down 2,000 acres from our December estimate, the total would still be the biggest since 1944, if achieved. Our estimate is more than 5 million acres lower than intentions from last March. Those acres and more appear headed to soybeans. Our survey found farmers ready to plant 82.93 million acres to the oilseed, up 8.5% from last year, when seedings also suffered due to weather, though less than corn. Our latest tally was up some 600,000 acres from December and gained 4.5 million from the first survey we did before the Farm Progress Show in August. Farmers have told us for several years they wanted to plant more soybeans to improve rotations after pushing corn on corn, but big corn profits convinced them otherwise until 2014. Soybeans are slightly more profitable than corn headed into this year's growing season for the average producer, though projected profits for both crops are modest. Yes, the new crop soybean to corn ratio pulled back a little bit from December highs, but the winter rally in old crop soybeans convinced farmers to finally make the switch to soybeans this year. Soybeans could see even more seedings depending on what happens to growers on the northern plains. Spring wheat prices finally moved above break-even levels on the winter rally, but beans still look better for many growers there. Our survey found farmers ready to see 12.3 million acres of spring wheat, up 12.4% from last year's reduced total and in line with 2012 levels. Total wheat seedings would be down only slightly at 56 million acres. The other big report out March 31st is grain stocks. This data on quarterly old crop inventory levels has generated some big moves in the markets the last couple of years. March 1st supplies of corn, soybeans, and wheat could all be in play. Corn is the biggest unknown because so much of the crop is fed to livestock. The only way to measure how much is to deduct known levels of usage for exports and ethanol, along with fairly consistent amounts of industrial and food usage from the total number of bushels that disappeared between December 1st and March 1st. The DS1 inventory report released in January was much lower than anticipated, suggesting an increased pace of feed and residual usage, as it's called. If this pace returns to normal levels, March 1st stocks could be around 6.95 billion bushels. Some in the trade are higher than that already, setting up potential for volatility. Both wheat and soybeans can see residual use numbers that are actually negative according to USDA, accounting it uses to adjust stocks from quarter to quarter. Wheat residual usage in the September to November quarter was a negative 165 million bushels, for example. I expect wheat stocks to come in around 1.03 billion bushels, with soybeans at 981 million, both tighter than year-ago levels. But again, the residual use factor can make these estimates extremely volatile and hard to predict. In fact, farmers should be prepared for extreme reactions from all these reports on March 31st. Planting intentions estimates from private sources like Farm Futures are clouded by the high level of prevented plant acreage last year. Corn acreage from USDA could range from less than 91 million to more than 93.5 million. Soybeans from under 81 million to more than 84 million. Moreover, USDA won't fully interpret the grain stocks data for several weeks after the March 31st reports. Farm Futures will help fill in the gaps before then with a special online webinar April 7th. Farm Futures' new senior editor Bob Bergdorfer will offer insight on spring weather, while I'll go over all the numbers including some seasonal price forecasts. Go to this web address to learn more. Well, thanks for watching. I'll be back next week with a rundown on the March 31st reports on another edition of The Buzz.
We'll have to have more margin now, there isn't any doubt. So you better dash with a load of cash or we'll have to sell you